Hey beautiful people, today we're here to talk about how to find the job that you're passionate about. Hey, there's one thing I love about these questions, and it is the idea that we find, and it might be just something odd about the English language, but we find passion, we find a job that we're passionate about. And in reality, passion is a practice. And if you've listened to any of my other videos at this point, you know that I talk about practices a lot and how we build practices for ourselves and how our practices help us build more enjoyment at work, more opportunity to get promoted, and all of that good stuff. I just did a video on how do I find my passion for work. That's a very specific one on you and your individual passion. That's worth having a look at in addition to this one. So how do you find a job you're passionate about? I think the same thing applies here, is you build very strong awareness of what it is that you can be passionate about, because we can't be passionate about everything. So what if your understanding about how do you find a job that you're passionate about moved from something I'm going to find to something I'm going to cultivate that really starts from within me to begin with? Also, what happens if we move away from the idea that says that jobs are actually about the perks and the promotions, and they're much more about how I choose to participate and how I engage? And we move away also from the idea that we're waiting for our dream job to show up, that it's suddenly going to land in our laps, to it being something that we actually go out and design for ourselves. By the end of this video, I'd love you to be able to get yourself to a point where you can not be the person who's waiting for their dream job to show up, who you can not be the person who's wondering around how can they get passionate about what it is they do, but you're the person who goes, I have 3, 4, 5, 6 practices that I do, and I'm going to identify a lot of them for you here now, but I've practices that I do that help me be able to identify what I'm passionate about and find alignment opportunities at work for me to express that passion and grow that passion and build that passion. And I can understand how to create that balance between adding value at work, expressing what it is that I'm passionate about, and over time those things become more and more congruent and closer to each other and more interwoven over time. I think it's pretty well accepted at this point that aligning your personal values with your work helps you create passion over time. So let me explain what I mean by that. Is a lot of where passion shows up at work is based on you. It's based on the uniqueness of what you bring to the game. It's based on what matters to you, which is going to be different than what matters to anyone else. One of the amazing things about having been in the workplace for so long is every single person cares about something different. Now, not completely different, but slightly different. The nuances around what it is that they care about differs significantly from person to person, enough that it is fascinating to see the differences. I did some work with a lot of engineers who were doing work around building autonomous cars a number of years ago. And what we did was we asked them to identify what their primary area of mastery is. In other words, what they're hugely focused on, what really matters to them, what it is that they've done a PhD in or multiple PhDs in, and they're now pursuing as a lifelong passion. And then what we asked them to do was we also asked them to identify 2 adjacent areas that they were peripherally interested in, but you only have 24 hours in the day. You can only be passionate about, deeply passionate about so many things. And what happened was when they identified their own particular area of mastery, it was different than everybody else's, and everybody else went, ooh, oh, that's amazing. And the person next to them had a different area of mastery and they went, wow, that's incredible. When we started looking at the adjacent ones, we started seeing where the intersections were, and we started seeing how they had a lot of shared passion and a lot of shared values. So as you start thinking about your passion, your mastery, areas that you want to build mastery in, look at the main thrust of the work that you're doing, and then also look at what are some of the adjacent ones. And those adjacent ones become stepping stones for you to be able to understand what other people deeply care about and what they're passionate about, and allows you to be able to be empathetic and excited about it. Once you start doing that, you will start identifying for yourself this is what I am passionate about. So your passion becomes less diffused and more focused. And the more focused it is, and the more aware you are of what are the other fields and areas of study or areas of interest around it, the more passionate you get to be about it, because you get to do a deeper dive. So the odd thing about passion is it's really hard to be passionate about something absolutely enormous, like we're going to solve world peace. It is much, much more easy to be able to be passionate about, for example, peace in Northern Ireland, which is what I grew up with, because I'm obviously Irish, and I grew up with that whole process unfolding in front of me as I was younger. And so there were particular fantastic people in the north of Ireland who were very, very interested in peace in their local communities, and they won Nobel Peace Prizes for it. And they were absolutely inspirational for me as I was younger and I was growing up. But what happens is, if you can begin to identify your passion and understand the boundaries of your passion, you'll find that you actually have more room to get more passionate about it rather than less. Passion can also be cultivated through engagement. So it's like anything else. It's like speaking a language. So I speak rusty French because I spent a bunch of time in France when I was growing up, and I was bilingual at the time, and I'm far from it now. But part of it is because I haven't been practicing. I don't have anyone to talk to in French. And if I wander around the house talking to myself, people will probably lock me up. But the important thing to recognize here is that it's a practice. It's something that you've got to continue to practice. So if you're passionate about something, your ability to be able to continue to engage in it is going to allow you to become more passionate about it, more fluent around it. Think of it like a language, better at it. You can talk to more people about it. You understand what's going on in the field. You're more engaged. So think of it as a deep dive that you want to be able to do for an incredibly long period of time. So when you're deciding what it is that you're going to dedicate to and you want to be passionate about, make sure it's something big, because you're going to be doing a deep dive into the middle of it, and you want to be able to make sure that there's 10, 15 years of study for you to do in that field, and ideally that the field is constantly evolving, because if it is, then it's a lifelong of study and a lifelong of engagement, and you can absolutely have fun and you can make a name for yourself in terms of how you contribute to that field. The other thing that happens invariably is passion enhances your performance and your job satisfaction, and it also puts you on the path to getting promoted. So if you really understand what it is that matters to you and you're passionate about it, and you look for opportunities to build on that passion and really express it, what happens over time is people recognize you for it, and people identify you with it, and vice versa. And you're the go-to person for that particular topic inside your company. And then when there's an opportunity around that, you get promoted into those opportunities. Now, as to another video that we did earlier on, which talked about transferable skills, you're obviously building out your transferable skills too and bringing that with you. It's not just one particular area of passion. That would make you an individual contributor to the point where your ability to be able to contribute is limited by your transferable skills. So just bear that in mind as you think about this. So purpose-driven work, there's plenty of evidence to understand that that leads to greater fulfillment at work and in life. And when we talk about passion, we're usually talking about passion as it relates to a purpose. So think about it like this. I'm super passionate about helping people be amazing leaders, be the leaders they would like to be led by. And to that end, I'm doing this YouTube video. And to that end, I do a lot of other work as well. But what I'm interested in is, how do we help people design and craft their own careers and get themselves promoted to higher levels in organization based on their commitment to their own excellence in their own unique leadership? Shows up in that is, I have purpose, which is I want to get 1 million of you promoted. But my passion is, how do I help you be the leaders you would like to follow? Among other things, I'm obviously interested in innovation and a number of other things. But what happens is you begin to get purpose and passion, and they begin to kind of couple together. And once you have purpose around your passion, you're applying it to something, people begin to show up and start wanting to help you and wanting to support you and wanting to engage you and introduce you and network you and all of these wonderful things that I'm deeply grateful for. But once you start making those two connections and you're able to talk to them in a way that other people find interesting and compelling, then you start really building your passion and your purpose symbiotically together. So as you think about finding your passion, remember it's a practice. Remember, you diving into yourself and understanding what you value and what really matters to you is what's going to drive your ability to be able to find your passion. As you go through this process, I really encourage you to do the Get Promoted assessment, because what it'll do is it'll start getting you to reflect on what you care about and what you're passionate about, and how your current work aligns with that, and what opportunities you have to move either laterally or to get promoted, so that there's a better alignment between what you deeply care about, what you want to dive into, what you want to be known for, what you want to learn more about, and the work that you're actually doing today. Link down in the comments below, Get Promoted Assessment, www.getpromotedassessment.com. Let me know how it works for you. And most importantly, for furthering this conversation, is let me know where you are in the process of discovering what you're really passionate about, what matters to you, and how can I help you understand and explore that better and be more nuanced around really making it a lifelong pursuit and something that brings you enormous joy. I wish you the very best of luck with it, because it's a pursuit worth taking.